GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good evening, Montreal. Tonight we'll look at why Lachine's West Notre-Dame Street revamp has hit a delay after 3 decades, and how Les Suprêmes are training for a 2030 Olympic debut. Expect minor traffic snarls on the bridges and a quick look at new housing for women experiencing homelessness. Over to you, Emma.
The Montreal Street Food Festival opens Saturday evening on St. Laurent Boulevard, featuring more than 30 food trucks and pop-up stalls from local chefs.
The event runs through 3 days, offering live music on a central stage and free family-friendly activities for each afternoon.
Admission is free, and visitors can purchase a wristband for unlimited tastings, while a limited number of premium tasting tickets are sold online now.
Lots to get to, let's begin. The Street Food Festival kicks off this weekend, with over 30 local vendors serving global flavors downtown. Good evening, Montreal. The long-awaited overhaul of West Notre-Dame Street in Lachine has been put on hold, ending a 3-decade wait for the borough's flagship streetscape project. Officials announced this morning that a fresh assessment of local merchants' needs prompted the postponement, as the council seeks to align the redesign with evolving commercial realities. The redevelopment, first envisioned 30 years ago, was slated to transform a narrow corridor of historic storefronts into a pedestrian-friendly mixed-use avenue. With the new study still under review, construction crews remain idle and funding timelines are being reshuffled. Residents and shop owners expressed disappointment, noting the delay pushes back hopes for increased foot traffic and revitalized neighborhood character. Borough officials said they will prioritize a solution that supports small businesses and preserves the street's historic facade.
Les Suprêmes, Montreal's elite women's synchronized skating squad, are setting their sights on a historic debut at the 2030 Winter Games. The International Olympic Committee has introduced a brand new discipline called Synchro 9, one of 16 freshly added events designed to boost gender balance across the program. If the team secures a spot, they will become the first Canadian contingent to compete in Olympic synchronized skating, joining athletes from figure skating, hockey, and ski disciplines on the world stage. Coach Marie-Claude Dubois says the group has intensified training at the Bell Center and is fine-tuning routines that blend intricate footwork with dynamic lifts. The upcoming qualification series this fall will determine which nations earn the limited slots, and the Suprêmes are confident their technical scores will meet the new standard.
Internet sensation Nurse John, once an emergency room nurse, is set to headline 2 comedy nights at the Just for Laughs festival. The shows will take place at Salle Wilfrid Pelletier on July 24, offering the hometown crowd a chance to see the viral star live. John's blend of medical anecdotes and quick-witted jokes has earned millions of online views, and festival organizers say his arrival adds a fresh, local flavor to the lineup. Just for Laughs, the world's largest comedy festival, draws performers from across the globe each summer. Tickets are already selling fast, with seats filling for both evenings. The performer, who grew up in the city, said returning to the stage feels like a homecoming after years of hospital shifts and internet fame. Audiences can expect a night of humor that balances sharp observation with the warmth of a familiar face.
Public health officials have issued an urgent alert as overdose deaths linked to carfentanil continue to climb. Ambulance crews report that the number of naloxone doses given in the first half of 2026 already matches the total administered throughout the entire previous year. The surge is tied to the synthetic opioid, which is dozens of times more potent than heroin and has infiltrated the local drug supply. Montreal Public Health warns that each day without intervention puts more lives at risk, and they are coordinating with emergency responders to expand distribution of the life-saving antidote. Officials urge residents to keep naloxone on hand, call 911 at first sign of distress, and avoid unknown substances. This response aims to curb the tide of fatalities as the synthetic opioid spreads.
Alexei Popyrin and Arthur Ferry are set to hit the courts this afternoon as the qualification rounds for the National Bank Omnium get underway in Montreal. Both players will battle through the draw to secure a spot in the tournament's main field, where the world's top talent converges each year. The qualifiers start at around 4:30 p.m., giving fans a chance to see the contenders sharpen their games before the headline matches. Popyrin, the Australian known for his powerful serve, will look to build momentum, while French-Canadian Ferry hopes to translate his recent form into a breakthrough performance. The National Bank Omnium, a staple of the city's summer sports calendar, will move to its main draw later this week, with the qualifiers serving as the final stepping stone for those aiming to compete for the title. Up next, we'll explore how the Ontario forest fires may cloud Saturday's air and impact commuters. We will be right back.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches. No middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's dive into today's local stories, from the Plateau's new park opening to the latest transit updates with Emma Leclair.
Smoke from active forest fires in southern Ontario is set to drift eastward Saturday, bringing a wave of haze that could push air quality into the unhealthy range across southern, western, and possibly central parts of Quebec. Health officials warn that particulate levels may rise enough to trigger advisories for outdoor activity, especially for seniors, children, and anyone with respiratory conditions. Schools and daycare centers are being asked to keep windows closed and to consider limiting outdoor play if concentrations climb. Residents are advised to monitor local forecasts and to use air purifying filters where possible. The fire smoke is expected to linger through the day, with wind patterns gradually shifting it further inland by evening. Authorities continue to track the situation and will issue updates as conditions evolve. Commuters planning to bike or walk along popular routes should factor in reduced visibility and potential irritation.
The province's beloved cheesemaker is set to change hands this afternoon as a French corporation finalizes its purchase of the historic Quebec dairy. The family-run operation, which has supplied curds and blocks to neighborhood markets for generations, will become part of an international portfolio. Officials say the transition is expected to preserve existing production lines while introducing new varieties from the parent company's range. For shoppers accustomed to seeing the familiar label on their grocery shelves, the shift may mean subtle changes in packaging, but continued access to the same regional flavors. Workers at the plant have been briefed on the upcoming ownership structure, and the company assures that employment levels will remain stable throughout the integration period. Local families who rely on the brand for everyday meals can expect the product to stay on store shelves, and the new owner has pledged to keep the traditional recipes intact.
Police announced yesterday they had detained 2 men, both 20 years old, in connection with a string of anti-Semitic assaults that have troubled the Jewish community in recent weeks. Officers said the arrests were made following investigations into the recent incidents, and the suspects are now in custody pending further questioning. The detentions mark the first arrests linked to the spate of attacks that have raised concern across the city. Authorities have not released details about the specific offenses tied to each suspect, but confirmed that the individuals are believed to have participated in the recent assaults. Police emphasize that the investigation remains ongoing as they continue to assess the broader pattern of hate-motivated incidents. City officials noted that the arrests come as part of a broader effort to address hate-based crimes and promised to update residents as the investigation proceeds.
Today, Mission Old Brewery opened a new set of transitional housing units for women experiencing homelessness. The facility offers private rooms, communal kitchens, and on-site counseling, aiming to bridge the gap between emergency shelters and permanent housing. Residents will have access to job training workshops, health care referrals, and child care support, all coordinated by the organization's staff. Officials said the project responds to a growing need for safe, gender-specific accommodation as the city's shelter system remains stretched. By providing a stable environment, the program hopes to help women regain independence and reconnect with families. Neighbors can expect quieter streets as more women move from temporary shelters into the dedicated homes, reducing the nightly flow of people seeking shelter in public spaces. The center also runs nutrition classes and legal aid sessions, giving participants tools to navigate employment applications and tenancy agreements.
After more than 3 weeks without a match, CF Montreal is set to return to MLS action against Toronto FC. The encounter, scheduled for later this week, marks the team's first competitive outing since the lengthy pause. Coach and players are looking to shake off the rust and spark a turnaround in form, hoping the break will translate into a stronger performance on the field. Fans can anticipate a lively atmosphere as the rivalry reignites, with both sides eager to claim early points in the standings. The club staff emphasized the importance of capitalizing on the momentum from training sessions over the downtime. As the kickoff approaches, supporters are counting on a spirited display that could set the tone for the remainder of the season. Local supporters hope the win will energize the downtown crowd and boost ticket sales.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see what tonight's skies have in store with our meteorologist.
A deepening low meets a fast northwest jet, pulling cooler air into Montreal as evening settles. On this date, Montreal once burned to 33.7 degrees in 2018, a blistering spike that rode the tail of a lingering heat wave across the province. Just 3 years earlier, in 2015, the thermometer dipped to 10.4 degrees, a sharp intrusion of Arctic air that followed a sudden plunge in the jet stream. By contrast, the climatological average for July 16th hovers around 24 degrees high and 15 low, underscoring how today's readings sit comfortably between those extremes. Scanning the live radar, the screen is completely clear across the province. No rain echoes, no snow bands. The absence of echoes confirms the dry, stable air mass that the low pressure is shedding as high pressure builds from the west. With the fast northwest jet aloft steering any moisture far north, we expect no precipitation to reach the city tonight, and the map will stay quiet as we move to the outlook. At 6 p.m., the sky is mostly clear, and temperature sits at 24 degrees with a dry 26% humidity. A low-pressure center is still overhead, but it is rising, allowing a building high-pressure ridge to creep in from the west, which will seal in the light air. The fast northwest jet at 157 kilometers per hour reinforces the ridge, keeping moisture out and pushing any lingering clouds east. Winds are 30 kilometers per hour from the northwest, gusting to 49, enough to feel a brisk push across the harbor. UV index reads 6, and no weather alerts are active. Expect the temperature to dip to 22 by midnight and hold steady through the night as the ridge dominates. Looking ahead, Friday brings a high of 27 and a low of 13 under a thick overcast that will trap moisture, though rain remains unlikely. Saturday turns cooler with a high of 22 and a low of 14. A slow-moving frontal band will deliver a 90% chance of rain, soaking the city by early afternoon. Sunday clears dramatically, returning to a high of 23 and a low of 15, perfect for outdoor plans. Monday repeats the overcast trend with a high of 24 and 15 low, while the ridge still limits sunshine. Tuesday closes the stretch with a warm 25 high and an unusually high 18 low, accompanied by light rain and an 80% chance, hinting at lingering moisture before the next system arrives. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunset is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Later, we'll untangle Bridge Lane closures, preview Ch183 MTL and Fantasia festivals, and preview Steve's music store auction. We will be right back.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches, no middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
Westbound traffic on Claimant Bridge is feeling the pinch, with one lane shut for beam repairs. Drivers should expect to slow down and use the remaining lane cautiously. Eastbound commuters on Cavendish Boulevard over the overpass also face lane closures as reconstruction continues, adding a few minutes to travel times. Southbound access at the Descaries interchange is closed while crews resurface the roadway, forcing drivers onto the alternate ramps on Ottawa Route 15. Overall, there are no active accidents, so the rest of the network remains clear. Minor delays are likely to linger through the late afternoon, especially on the bridge in the two affected corridors. On the transit side, service runs as scheduled with no reported disruptions. If you're heading downtown, consider a slightly earlier departure or a different route to avoid the bottlenecks. Those bound for the South Shore may want to divert to the Champlain Bridge or the Viaduct overpass to sidestep the slowdown.
Montreal's culinary scene shines at the Montreal Street Food Festival on the Quai de Horloge in the Old Port, where over 40 restaurants serve 150 street food creations, ideal for a summer bite. A short walk away, Ch183 MTL lights up Peel Basin in Griffintown, turning the waterfront into a Vietnamese night market with authentic dishes, artisan stalls, and live performances that invite you to explore a new culture. Film fans can head to Concordia University's Hall Concordia Theater for the Fantasia International Film Festival, featuring genre-bending premieres, horror thrills, and sci-fi spectacles paired with filmmaker Candace. Looking ahead, the world-renowned Just for Laughs festival runs through the Quartier des Spectacles this week, promising stand-up galas and international comedians that will keep the city laughing. Altogether, these events showcase Montreal's summer energy, offering food, film, and laughter for every neighborhood. And now here's Jason with sports.
Here's the latest on Montreal's teams and the upcoming NHL season. The 2026-27 NHL season kicks off on September 29 with two all-Canadian matchups. The Canadiens will travel to Toronto to open against the Maple Leafs, while the Oilers host the Canucks later that night. CBC Sports notes the historic Canadian start. The Montreal Roses edged the Halifax Tides by a 1-0 margin thanks to a 77-minute penalty conversion by substitute Chloe Minas. The decisive spot kick secured the win in Northern Super League action on Sunday, CBC Soccer reports. The Montreal Roses announced two high-profile acquisitions on Wednesday, adding forward Marie-Yasmine Aladou and defender Yves Perisset to their roster. Both bring international experience, the club said, aiming to strengthen the squad for the remainder of the season, CBC Soccer notes. An international sports firm has injected $30 million into the Northern Super League, the six-team Canadian women's professional soccer league now in its second season. The funding aims to support growth across clubs in Vancouver, Calgary, Halifax, Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa, CBC Soccer reports. The Vancouver Canucks have acquired forward Brendan Gallagher from the Montreal Canadiens in exchange for future considerations, according to CBC Sports. The move adds a proven scorer to Vancouver's lineup, while Montreal looks to reshape its forward depth heading into the upcoming season.
Steve's Music Store on St. Laurent Boulevard has been a fixture of Montreal's music scene for more than 3 decades. The family-run shop, known for its selection of guitars, keyboards, and vintage amps, announced a public auction of its remaining inventory on July 22 and July 23 as it prepares to close its doors. Musicians from Mylène to the Plateau will have a rare chance to snag professional gear at steep discounts, keeping the shop's legacy alive in the hands of the next generation. The closure marks the end of an era, but the auction offers a final encore for a place that helped countless local artists find their voice. Steve's has always been more than a store, it's a community hub that shaped Montreal's sound. Stay tuned for a heartwarming look at the new transitional housing opening for homeless women in our city. We'll be right back.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches, no middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
Here on the east side of Isle St. Henriette, the wind off the St. Lawrence carries the hum of families strolling past a bright canvas tent. Inside, volunteers in red jackets unfurl a collection of polished helmets, faded photographs, and a gleaming replica of the iconic Red Lotus that made ZHEL Villeneuve a legend. Children press their noses to the glass case, where a miniature track winds around a model of the Sir KWE ZHEL Villeneuve, while an elderly couple, both longtime fans, share a quiet laugh recalling the roar of the 1979 Grand Prix they watched on a black and white television. The exhibition, Salut ZHEL, A History of Speed in Montreal, will stay open for 2 years, inviting every generation to feel the rush of a driver who raced with heart as fierce as the city's own spirit. As the sun dips behind the park's trees, a young girl lifts a replica steering wheel, her eyes shining with the same daring that once lit the streets of Montreal. It's a reminder that passion, like the river that runs beside us, never stops moving forward.
On a crisp Saturday morning on St. Laurent Boulevard, the line at the corner grocery hums with chatter as families refill their fridges. At the checkout, a mother of 3 watches the total dip when the clerk rings up fresh berries, a loaf of whole grain bread, and a bottle of gentle shampoo, items now exempt from the provincial sales tax. Across the aisle, a teenage boy grins as he adds a tube of toothpaste, relieved that the extra cost has vanished. The province's decision to remove the sales tax on a list of essential foods and personal care products translates into immediate savings for shoppers, especially for those on tight budgets. For many, that few dollars less per basket means a little more room for a weekend treat or a saved evening at home. Emma Leclair, so what will you do with the extra change in your cart? She asks, echoing the thought that's already buzzing through the aisles. It's a modest policy shift, but for Montreal households, it feels like a warm invitation to breathe a little easier.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on the local sunset. Tonight's highlight was the Les Suprêmes gearing up for a 2030 Olympic debut, a proud moment for our city's athletes. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more stories tomorrow. See you then.